Halfpipe once again. I cannot believe it's just straight up picked instantly.
Yeah, it was in the pick phase. Softy was like, okay, Gwen picked the first map. And then Gwen was laughing and he said Halfpipe. And then Carl Jr. was laughing as well. And Carl Jr., when he had to pick, he didn't even know the map names. So that says a lot as well. He was like, yeah, I picked the fourth map. I mean, what is the fourth map?
Yeah.
But eventually he came to par with Semiramis in second place and Starglide in fourth. So.
Okay.
I don't think map order is gonna matter in this last final. Maybe Halfpipe is the only map that is quite surprising that it is in first place. But yeah.
Well, it shouldn't matter because the better player wins more than half the maps. There's no way you can snipe 3 maps because that's more than half. So I don't think it should matter that much. That
Exactly.
what the order is. Maybe momentum or mentally it might matter, I guess.
Yeah, so we could see a minimum, well, we will see a minimum of 2 rounds, but a maximum of 4 rounds on these maps. So let's hope it's not going to be a clean sweep. I mean, if this is going to be a clean sweep, 6-0, I don't know. That will be very surprising, but I think it's going to be a close one.
Yeah, 6-0 would be
3
crazy.
rounds actually, yeah. Because final, and then insta win. True. Yeah, that's gonna be 3 rounds max per map. And this one...
No, but
yeah,
you have
it's so
best of
hard to
3
call.
on a map. And so that means that if you win 2 rounds, you're done. You have won the map, you go to the next map.
You know what? Let's just watch this, Sinas.
Yeah.
And eventually we'll see if it's gonna be skipped. And then we'll know.
Yeah, then
So-
it's locked in. I agree. That's for the admins to
Exactly.
decide.
Yeah, I agree. So, here we go. First warm-up.
Exciting.
It's gonna start with Halfpipe. The legendary Halfpipe. A 1v1 battle between Gwen and Carl.
Yeah, honestly, to me, most of these maps are complete coin tosses between these 2 players, and it's all coming down to who can put the pressure on the other player first. So who takes the lead at the start? Because the player who is behind needs to start risking so much, they might make a mistake. So I think it would be very beneficial to have the better starts here in a 1v1. That would mean Gwen probably has the advantage there. I've seen Gwen do a lot of good starts.
Yeah. True. Carl has been slacking a little bit, but then he just has... I mean, when you have Carl Jr. behind you, then
Yeah.
the pressure can get to you, of course. You know he is capable of doing an insane comeback, but we have seen Carl make some sloppy mistakes here that he normally shouldn't and wouldn't do. Especially in this turn where he no-slides and then crashes on the right or either on the left. But here we go. The first round. Carl versus Gwen on Halfpipe.
This is going to be an exciting 1v1. Back and forth, hopefully. So far so good for Gwen, who takes the lead at the start, just like I said. And that might be all he needs here. Although Carl Jr. is completely shattering my theory in one fell swoop, as he now takes over the lead. Is already more than 0.1 ahead on Halfpipe, and is looking to get more and more going into the dirt. Nice inside line here by the Canadian player, and he will stay ahead of Gwen at the start here. We will continue to do 2 lappers. And right now... Oh, but here comes Gwen.
wow.
He has a nice inside line. Perfectly executed and just leaves Carl Jr. behind him. A really impressive line here by Gwen. Yeah, showing that apparently those nerfs are not affecting him at all. As he now is already 0.3 ahead of Carl Jr. That's quite a lot. Both of them... Oh, but Carl
and a
Jr.
mistake.
goes too far to the left, and he is going to be so far behind now. Gwen takes the first win, unless, of course, he makes some kind of huge mistake anywhere else. We still have 1.5 lap to go. So, I mean, That is quite a long time. Gwen needs to keep playing on a decent pace here because, well, it is less than a second and Carl Jr. has a good pace. He might catch up if Gwen saves too much. So it's not over yet.
Yeah, the gap has shrunk by 2/10 already. So Carl is definitely picking up the pace, but that mistake is very, very unfortunate for him. Oh, doesn't get the greatest start, and that might be the round already gone for Carl Jr. Unless Gwen makes a stumble here, it is not looking like Carl will get this first round in the pocket. Let's stay on board with Gwen here, who should know that he is 1.5 seconds ahead. And let's actually see if that is also showing some safer approaches. So far, I do hear him release quite a lot. It is 1.7 seconds of a gap. Unless Gwen makes a mistake, it is going to be his round to win. Very low jumps. Oh, jumps very far left there. That could have been bad, but he remains on track with good pace. The identity is going to decide a lot.
Wow, it goes to a no slide anyway.
Yeah, I don't think you can gain 1.4 seconds might be enough. Gwen got the lower gear. 1.3 right now. It needs to be a full YOLO strat by Carl, and he tried, but
he did go full YOLO.
Yeah, that is it. I mean, he knew that he had to try. Even though I don't even think that you can gain 1.5 seconds in the end here, even if you full YOLO. But that is first round to Gwen here. And he is now in finalist, so it is actually map point already for Gwen.
Yeah, so the 6-0 coming in for Gwen, as chat has already called out. Finalist mode for him. Yeah, what can you say here? It was honestly just a little bit of a mistake here by Carl Jr. and Gwen just locking it in afterwards. Let's see what's going to happen this round. Carl Jr. now in the lead, taking advantage of Gwen's poor start. And yeah, this looks good for the Canadian player here. He is now 0.1 ahead. Will extend the lead even more and more as he has more speed coming out of this one. Gwen struggling a little bit here at the start of the first lap, but that doesn't mean a lot, as Gwen can definitely catch up later on. Carl Jr. struggling now on the dirt. Oh, but Gwen gets a lower gear, I think. What will happen now in the double jumps? Is Gwen gonna make it? Looks like he makes it, but it was incredibly close. The battle is still on. Both of the players here and there making some tiny mistakes, which means they're basically equal now. No slide turn coming in. Gwen goes so wide, he's gonna lose a bunch of speed compared to Carl Jr. here. And now it's Carl Jr.'s round to lose. Coming into the identity. Here we go. Will Gwen go full YOLO?
Oh my god!
Wow, he is gone.
But what was that lift off? His car just acted super strange. But yeah, that is a point for Carl here for sure.
And now he gets a speed penalty in the end of the identity there as well. So yeah, it is just we're gonna watch Carl for 1.5 minutes while we wait for the next round to start, I guess.
Yeah. So what did you eat for dinner? No, I'm kidding. Yeah, this is gonna be Carl Jr. taking this round here, 6.5 seconds. Unless Carl Jr. does a complete stopping, I don't think he's gonna give this point away. He is driving extremely safe, and sometimes when you try too hard to save, you actually make more mistakes.
That is true.
Look at the lines. His car, I think he's 12 seconds ahead. He should go for the safe jumps on the left.
Honestly, he has enough time to respawn this even. I mean...
Oof. I mean, in this situation, when you have 12 seconds, I would have just went for the left jumps here.
I don't know.
I mean,
you did just say that if you take different lines that you're not used to, that might be way riskier.
That is true. That is true.
I've had that happen to me a couple of times where like, oh, I can save, and then I make some kind of stupid mistake because I've never done that line.
Oh, look at this identity though. If you do it very slow, it's so nice. But if you do it fast, then it's like...
Well, if you do it faster, you make it, then it's really cool.
Yeah, but that is like winning the lottery, to be honest.
Yeah.
Alright, so this is the final round on this map. And who's gonna take it? Who's gonna put himself in that advantage of a 1-0? Yeah, Gwen did make that massive mistake, but he has also shown that he can do the identity very, very nice. So now it is all or nothing. Gwen with a terrible first turn gets the lower gear.
Oof.
Oh, wow. Carl stays ahead. It is too close to call. Nothing is happening here. Gwen with a different line and loses a lot of speed because of that harsh landing that he gets. Also goes for a very low jump, but it is Carl Jr. who has the lead. But Carl has a wonky line here, whereas Gwen has a really good one. However, this time around, Carl stays ahead. The dirt jumps are coming up. Gwen with a very tight approach. He will have enough speed. Carl as well. They both make it, but it is Gwen who gets the speed penalty, clips his back tires, and that is putting Carl Jr. in a very nice position. 7/10 ahead, but the identity is gonna be the most difficult section. Carl Jr. entering it right now with 0.8 of an 0.7 of an advantage. He is not able to save it fully as we have Gwen, the powerhouse, coming back, and it is Carl who makes the mistake. Ay. Oh, Gwen! Where is... Okay.
Wow,
Carl had
Gwen
to
is so
respawn.
far ahead, it doesn't even matter. Carl Jr. had to go for the respawn.
yeah.
It's already 10 seconds. Gwen clipping, but I mean, he's just getting his mistakes. He's gonna make in this final out of the way now that he is able to do so.
And that is a victory for Gwen here. 7, almost 8 seconds ahead. I mean, he could still make a mistake, obviously. But I think Gwen is gonna take it here. What even happened with Carl? Did he get an initial mistake or a speed penalty and couldn't make the next halfpipe jump? Or did he just jump way too low?
I think he jumped too low. I'm not completely sure about it, but there was a huge... Oh,
My
man. Gwen is still letting us butt clench a little bit. That's the word I was looking for. It took me a little bit, but I got it.
Here we go. Gwen, final identity. Oh my, he is doing some low jumps.
This is the last time we'll see half-pipe.
This is it.
Yep.
There he goes. And is this gonna be the end though? Point limit is 3, so I'm not sure if this might be a visual bug or is this gonna be done deal?
It's best of 3, so it should be...
It's done.
It should be done, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Alright, Gwen takes the first map, and that is already setting back Carl Jr. quite a bit. Gwen only needs 2 more maps and it's over. So... good news for Gwen here, taking the momentum with him, which he might need playing against such a player as Carl Jr. I can only imagine how that must feel, having him behind you or ahead of you all the time. The only goal you have is trying to be faster than him. I mean, that's just crazy.
Yeah, and we gotta remember, Gwen picked Halfpipe. I mean, he didn't look that confident on it, and now we are driving on Carl Jr.'s pick. So this is do or die for Carl Jr. right now. Oh, very nice warm-up, just drives off the track. But yeah, this map, definitely one of my favorites. Seems like they might want to skip the warm-up by the looks of it.
Yeah.
They are skipping the warm-up, so it seems like they just want to get it done with. I get the feel as we go into the first one here. Carl Jr. chose this map. He also makes the first mistake.
God.
And that is most likely
Jesus Christ.
gonna be game already. 2 seconds of a gap between Gwen and Carl Jr. here. Unless something terrible... Oh, Gwen does get the gear down, but Carl seems to have gotten the same. So the gap stays the same as well. Going into this very fast-paced section. Gwen still leading. 1.5 seconds of a gap by the looks of it. He had this insane left-hander, and look at this. Once again, he gets it really well. Does he extend his lead? No, he doesn't. Carl Jr. is able to stay at the same pace as Gwen. The identity could decide some in this first round as we enter it right now. First jump for Gwen, clears it. Second one, also very low. Third one, very well done, but he doesn't get the greatest speed, so this might be an opportunity for Carl to catch up a little bit. However, it is not looking good for Carl here in this first round.
No, it is not indeed. Actually, Gwen extended his lead towards the end of the lap, and that means the gap is now, well, let's say 1.5 seconds-ish. And that is quite big. I mean, we don't have Halfpipe identities anymore, and that means a really big catch-up point is not there. And that means, honestly, Carl is kind of hoping for a mistake from Gwen here, otherwise it doesn't seem like he can catch up anymore. Let's see what Gwen is doing.
I think Gwen is slowing down a little bit here. 1.15 right now. Oh, he might be saving a little bit too much as Carl Jr. now almost below 1 second of the gap. One tiny mistake by Gwen, and that could ruin his round. But he has shown that he can save the identity quite nicely as he is clearing the first jump and the second one, and has enough speed for the third one, and that is going to be round 1 going to Gwen here.
Yep, Gwen just executing a decent run here while Carl Jr. made a mistake. That's going to be enough for a nice round win.
Very nice time. 2:18.70. That is a very good match time by Gwen. Deserved to win that round. And now he could go for the victory here already. He is in finalist mode. Carl needs to push it. He clears the first turn. That is a victory already for Carl.
Wow, I mean, yeah, I agree. And not only does he do that, he's now in the lead in this round. Gwen, for the first time on this map, behind Carl Jr. Although, never mind, Gwen wants to be first once again. Here we go. Into this turn. It looks like Gwen has a bit more exit speed. He's gonna use that to extend his lead a little bit on Carl Jr. And now a beautiful turn by Gwen, while Carl Jr. is being left behind there. But what will happen in this turn? Can Carl Jr. catch up a little bit, or will it be another signature Gwen turn? No, it will be a signature Gwen turn made by Carl Jr. And that means the gap is being closed once again. A 1v1 is on our hands right now. Gwen is in the lead, but Carl Jr. is so incredibly close behind. This is not over yet at all. Here we go into the identity. Who has the best jumps?
Oh my.
Oh, Carl Jr. is risking it for the biscuit. Paying off right now as he closes in more and more to Gwen. Goes to the overtake. We'll have a wider line, so Gwen will probably take it back once again. But we are gonna enter lap 2. Oh! With an insane battle. I was about to say Carl Jr. almost making a mistake, but here we go. He's still in it to win it. Onto the dirt we go. Gap 0.1 of a second. Gwen still in the lead. He has the advantage. It is his round to give away. But Carl Jr. really wants to take it back. Going into the drift.
He gets the grass. Gwen clips the grass twice. Carl Jr. capitalizes on this mistake. Look at this. Look at the speed. Oh, Carl with the full risk, but we saw Gwen with an insane turn here, and he does it again. Look at the exit speed that Gwen carries. And now the most important turn. Is Gwen going to clutch it in this left-hander, or is Carl going to capitalize on Gwen's mistake? Oh, he's going so close. It is going to be decided in the identity. We saw an extremely good identity by Carl Jr. in the previous lap. Gwen might get the lower gear. He does.
Oh, he
gets
does.
The lower gear. Carl Jr. with the overtake. He has the upper hand.
Gwen got another dirty gear down.
Low jumps. Extremely good jump by Gwen. He goes for the full risk, and he wins. He goes extremely tight. Carl with the comeback.
No way!
He does it. Oh
my god!
Wow. Full risk by Gwen, but he didn't carry enough speed to clear the smooth landing. And
wow.
Carl gets the win.
That was awesome, dude.
Wowie.
That's what I want to see in a 2-lap or 1v1. These back and forths were absolutely amazing. And it is Carl Jr. in the end taking it, because while Gwen had an insane line of jumps, he had a really awkward part on the grass. Had to really oversteer a lot, losing a bunch of speed. And yeah, he couldn't carry it over to the finish line. The finish line was too far away. And that means Carl Jr. locks it in. But right now, Gwen is taking revenge. He is already in the lead, and we have only just started in this 1v1 round. It is already 0.2 of a second.
Look at that speed.
Oh my god. He does it again and again. Every single round. But can Carl Jr. catch up in this one, though?
He does, kinda. Gwen loses a little bit of momentum. but it is Carl who is 4 tenths behind. And we saw Gwen make a mistake in the identity, so he is prone to making mistakes. Right now, he remains ahead of Carl Jr., the first identity. Oh, Gwen is losing a little speed. I think Carl has the upper hand. But the final jump... Gwen! He got the lower gear and he couldn't make it. And this is going to tie up the score. We're going to go to map 3. Because Carl will just clean sweep this round. And that is going to be victory for Carl. So each player has won their pick so far. I mean, I'm saying that, but Carl still needs to finish here, obviously. But I don't think he is gonna make the mistake here.
No.
5 seconds ahead, he should know. And that will be 1-1. Tie up the score.
Yeah, I
So
mean...
no clean sweep.
That is some crazy 1v1s we had here on semi-rounds. But it is, even after losing the first round, it is Carl Jr. able to catch back up. Not confidently, I gotta be honest. That was really close. But Gwen was not able to, lock that win in. Last identity coming in. Carl Jr. needs to clear it here, but to me it looks like he's saving it.
Yeah.
So we will see him drive over that finish line happily with a smile on his face. And we will go on to map number 3, evening up the score 1-1.
I mean, in the corner, he doesn't look so happy, I'm not gonna lie. He's like, yeah, I'm standing here. My picture.
Yeah.
But yeah, now we are going to map 3, which is going to be circles, chosen by Gwen. And I do think that Gwen will take this one. He is really, really fast. And yeah, what can I say about this map? What a fantastic map this is. And hopefully we will see a close battle here between Gwen and Carl.
Yeah. Let's see if they skip the warm-up again.
Ah, they might actually... I see... Doesn't
looks
look
like
like
they're
it.
playing.
Yeah. I think they want to have some warm-up on circles. Maybe they both... Oh, never mind.
Wow.
It's just skipping. Just like that. They want to get...
That looked like an admin skip to me.
Yeah, maybe it is actually an admin skip.
No warm-up being given, and that means they're thrown into the deep. And into the deep we go, with Gwen in the lead already. Carl Jr. not with the best line at the start, doesn't get the nice amount of exit speed, and that means Gwen takes the lead. Alright, here we go. Oh, wide line by Gwen here. Still though, the exit speed is quite decent, and that means he holds on to his first position, but the gap is not as big as you want it to be. Especially now that Carl Jr. is coming closer and closer. He goes up really high, that might mean a nice amount of exit speed, although he loses the grip in the end a little bit, and I gotta breathe in a little bit. Okay, here we go. Gwen, now, on the reactor boost. Ooh, he drifts a bit. Loses his grip. That's going to cost him some time. We don't see any wiggles, and that means we will have the same amount-ish of exit speed, although Gwen holds on to that first place. Better line here by Gwen. Way better. Carl Jr. quite poor, I gotta be honest. But the gap is somehow not getting bigger.
Though.
Yeah, I don't know how Carl Jr. saved it, but... That was pretty incredible. Now we go into the identity. Gwen struggling a little bit. This might be Carl Jr.'s opportunity to get back into this round. Will it be enough though? Here we go. Different approaches once again. We see Gwen with low jump but low speed, and Carl Jr. with high jump, high speed. And the high jump, high speed is paying off. Spam, take it away.
Yeah, this entry in lap 2 is gonna decide a lot. Both players getting it extremely well. Also, the upper gears are being given. It is Gwen, however, with good exit speed on the first grass section, but Carl goes for a tighter approach here. But it is Gwen who shoots forward now, entering the sector 1 that is most difficult, the ice wall. Let's see, I do think Carl Jr. has a little bit more entry speed. That is not looking like he is catching up. 330 speed, both players. Going into the turnover, the speedy section, you do want to do some grass wiggles, but it's not looking like both of these guys are doing it. We saw Gwen with a very good line and Carl Jr. with an extremely tight line. Now both players going for the kind of the same entry. It is looking like Gwen will have this lower exit speed as Carl clinches on to that second place. He is going for the attack now. The identity is gonna make or break it. We did see Carl Jr. with more exit speed. I think Gwen is losing it. He clips. He gets a speed penalty. And the speed penalty is going to decide quite a bit here. Gwen with a different approach in the final jump. But it is Carl with the upper hand. Carl stays ahead, has a little bit more speed, but it is Gwen catching up. Oh my god, 7/800ths of a second. It was the speed penalty that Gwen got in the initial jump that ruined his victory there. And it is Carl Jr. who puts himself in finalist.
Wow, what a close battle in the first round of circles. I hope we get another one like that, because that was quite amazing. Carl Jr. now in the lead already. He's not waiting on Gwen, but Gwen is like, oh, don't worry, I'll catch up to you. And takes a nice amount of speed out of this one. Carl Jr. in the lead though. As a 1v1 battle commences, Gwen going quite wide, but doesn't lose any speed on the airtime afterwards. So different approaches here by the two players. Both of them being about even, I'd say. Gwen has a nice exit here. Maybe gets a bit more speed than Carl Jr. No, he doesn't. They're about even once again. Into the reactor boost we go. No grass wiggles. The full speed player in me disapproves of that, but we'll continue anyway. Oh, Gwen goes up super high, and this may give him some more speed compared to Carl Jr. But Carl Jr. somehow, I don't know how he does it every time, but he has the same amount of speed anyway. Going into the identity. This is going to be all or nothing here once again. It's a really important part. Gwen struggling a little bit with the entry, but this time around at least he doesn't clip, and he comes a little bit closer to Carl Jr. actually. Okay, the different approaches. Which one is going to win? Carl Jr. is behind at the start, but he has more exit speed, and he's going to fly away. Gwen being left behind here in lap number 1.
Yeah, the entry here is going to decide everything, though. Gwen is catching up a bit. Carl Jr. goes extremely high with the reactor boost, and look at that. Gwen is still fighting for that first place. Carl Jr. got the lower gear. Oh no, he's in trouble because Gwen is steamrolling ahead right now. There you go, the gap from 3/10 now down to absolutely nothing. He is actually going to take over that first place. Carl Jr. getting a very bad ice entry. I think this could decide the whole round here. Gwen not getting a good speed here. 327 speed for Gwen only. Neck and neck we go into the full speed section. The freewheeling part might decide a lot. Gwen actually going for a small grass slide. Very, very good. We'll get some extra kilometers an hour, but it is still rather close. Gwen with the good entry. It looks like Carl will get more exit speed every single time on the freewheel grass part. It is Gwen who is leading, but Carl Jr. comes strong. Oh, very smooth landing by Carl Jr., but then gets a poor landing. I do think that Carl might have it here. Goes for an extremely smooth landing. It's hard to call. Gwen, no, Carl with more speed. I think Carl has it. God. I think he takes it. Yes, he will. Oh my god. It is the identity, and that is GG on the map.
What do you mean? 100th of a second.
Snipe.
I really thought Carl Jr. lost it there when he had that really wonky landing on the halfpipe of the first part of the identity, but he was able to save that, still carrying a bunch of speed out of the exit of the last part of the identity, and that was just enough.
And this is important because Carl Jr. beats Gwen's pick. Gwen was the one who chose circles, and now we are playing Carl Jr.'s pick here.
I'm getting tennis feelings here.
Yeah, it is literally tennis. It is
like, oh yeah, Carl Jr. just beat the set. I mean,
oof.
Oh, we're live.
Not even, they couldn't even do the first turn in the warm-up. That is how quick we have to go here. Oh my god, Gwen already starting it off with a small clip, but it is not slowing him down whatsoever. Gwen takes the lead. Oh, almost collides with the pillars. 200ths of a second between these guys, but Gwen with the superior dirt line. Look at that. He puts himself in a great position here. 2/10 ahead of Carl Jr. If Carl Jr. wins this map, it is done and dusted. He will be the winner of TMGL. Man, both players going extremely close to the wall, but it is both players also securing or saving their lines actually. The identity here is gonna decide quite a bit. It is all going to be decided in the final identity section. The Ultra Zoopy Zoop. Who is going to get it? Gwen is currently still in first. Carl Jr. in second. Carl is closing the gap a little bit. He is actually doing a fantastic job on this identity. Now both players need to get the speed boost here. It is looking like
Wait. Spam? Hello? What just happened? Hello? We don't hear Spam anymore, so I'm just gonna
what's
keep...
happening?
What? You're back. What? It sounded like your mic cut off.
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
I'm casting. Dude, I did the most epic cast ever. Damn it. Anyway, take it over.
Oh yeah, okay. I don't know what happened there, but what is happening on the screen right now is that Gwen has taken the lead in the first lap, and we are now in lap number 2. The gap is about 0.4 of a second, and it is all in Gwen's hands right now. Carl Jr. has a nice turn here, maybe closes in on Gwen a little bit, but he needs to really push it. There is only one identity left, honestly, in this map, and Gwen is looking really strong. It looks like he's about to take it. Here we go into the freewheel section. Drifts are being done. Carl Jr. closes in a little bit, has a bit more speed, but it's not going to be enough to close in on Gwen entirely. So he needs the big zoops. Here we go. First one cleared. It's about even. Now Gwen. Oh, but Carl Jr. is going for the speedy. Is that enough though? Don't think so. Gwen is looking strong enough. He will indeed hold on to his 0.4 difference, and that will be enough for him to lock in the first round on the Starglide map. Good news for Gwen.
Yeah, that is taking 1 point away from Carl Jr.'s pick. And it is all up to Gwen now. He needs to win this next round to tie up the score, and then we go into the 5th map. That would be really, really epic. So all pressure on Gwen's shoulders right now. Or actually Carl for denying Gwen's win here. Gwen, again, he keeps clipping that little edge. I think he's doing that intentionally to get a smooth transition. I mean, it's not giving him any advantage, but more than your flex points. Am I still here?
Yeah, you are.
Okay, yeah, just checking. So, still very close. Gwen takes the lead here by only 1/10 of a second. But we have seen Gwen's identity line is very good. However, Carl Jr. here with the upper gear is actually closing the gap ever so slightly. He is doing a lot of work here, pushing it to the limits. Gwen with a very inside line on the grass. The freewheeling turns here are going to be so important. It looks like Gwen has the better angle going into the identity. But Carl goes very tight here in this initial one. Gwen, wow. Doing a very good job. Carl Jr. with the oversteer, and that might be it already. Unless Gwen doesn't get the zoop, and Carl does. Oh, and it's exactly what I was saying. Gwen doesn't get it. Carl does, however, get a much better exit speed and closes the gap completely. So his initial mistake is fixed.
Wow, what a first... Yeah, it does look like Gwen is doing this intentionally.
Yeah.
I mean, he just did it again. I mean, he's doing it every round. No penalty for him, and somehow he's able to clear that all the time. And right now it looks like he's taking advantage of this line. Gotta be honest, it might be more Carl Jr.'s mistake than Gwen's superior line, but he is in the lead. And Gwen already being in finalist mode, he might lock in this round, this map already. And that's going to be really good for him, taking the momentum into the last map. Mentally, that is of course really advantageous, but it is not over yet. Carl Jr. has a really strong second part of this map, and now the identity is all that is left, and we need to see a good one from both of these players. It's gonna be really important, and both of them will probably go for risking. Because Gwen looks really weak. He had the angle or something. That's gonna cost him so much speed, but Carl Jr. oversteers. And now Gwen is in the lead again. The back and forth is here.
That's
oh
GG.
My god, but Carl Jr. gets the nosedive, meaning he does not get the zoopity zoop, and Gwen does. And that is a GG. Gwen locks in Starglide 2-0. We're gonna move on to the last map.
Paradise. Paradise, paradise, paradise. Man, it is really difficult to say who is going to take this. But so far, it's been a pretty good 1v1. Not going to lie, but this as the final map is something special. We did see Gwen get that extremely fast freewheeling section every single time. And Carl just needs to... I think Carl has the better pace here, so he just needs to keep it together and stay at the same pace as Gwen here and get that freewheeling upper gear. I think that is what's going to decide who is going to win or lose.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. This, I mean, of course, the identity itself is quite important, but it does seem like it is quite tricky to pull off that upper gear. We've seen a couple of people not make that. And if you don't get it, it's over, I guess. I mean, the gap being 0.3, 0.4, that's hard to catch up to.
Right, yeah, and here we go. The final 1v1. Carl Jr. versus Gwen. They have given us a very nice final here. Going all the way to the final map. It is Gwen with the upper hand here. Starting it off already with a 10th of a second advantage by the looks of it. Carl Jr. doesn't want to let Gwen drive away. He needs to stick to him like glue. Entering this middle section could already decide a lot. I think Gwen has a very good entry. Does the dirt wiggle and will extend his lead a little bit. But like I said, Sinas, the freewheeling drift is going to make or break these runs. The identity is quite simple to save, but that freewheel drift is the most important one. Here we go. Gwen will enter it with a 2/10 of an advantage. Carl Jr. goes for a tighter approach. Looks like both players will make it. Carl Jr. will have a little bit more speed, but has to go for a wider line at the exit. And now the identity is going to is going to decide a lot here. Gwen goes for the high line. Carl Jr. with the attack, but it is Gwen with a little bit more exit speed going into the second one. Carl Jr. with a very low line, and he clips. Oh! And that's GG most likely in this first round.
Yeah, I was able to mute the sneeze on stream, but not to you, so that was kind of weird. But we have Gwen. I mean, he gets a free win here, and that is very nice because we are in the last map of the final. I mean, this is really important. Gwen being 1-0 on this map means he only needs one more, and Carl Jr. needs to start winning 2 in a row. And as we've seen already, that's quite hard to do against a player like Gwen. He just needs to finish the round here. 2.5 seconds-ish. 3 seconds. What is Carl Jr. doing?
Yeah, he's losing ground.
He's actually losing ground to Gwen. Not because of mistakes, but just because Gwen is playing on an insane level, even though he's so far ahead.
Exactly. And yeah, he must know. I think he's on really good pace as well here. This is going to be an interesting time. Gets a very nice line. 208 speed at the checkpoint. That is incredibly high. Almost flies in the downhill section. And yeah, this is looking like Gwen will take this. Goes for a nice safe approach. He knows that he is so far ahead. And he will put himself in championship point here.
Wow. Championship point for
pressure. Now the pressure is coming.
You know what it looks like to me is he's not saving just to stay in his line, stay in his focus, stay in his, pace, honestly. Because if you start saving, you get out of that routine you have. And I think Gwen just wanted to make sure that he hold on to that, carry that through into the next round. This is potentially the last round of the TMGL final between Carl Jr. and Gwen, unless Carl Jr. wins, of course, then we'll see another one. So far, though, Gwen has taken over the lead. Well, let's not say any leads because it is incredibly close so far. At the start, the jump coming in, both of the players are making it. We go into the second jump. Who gets the better airtime? It seems to be Gwen. Gwen taking over. Has more exit speed here onto the dirt. Do we see nice wiggles? We do see some nice wiggles, but Gwen just wiggling a little bit better here. And that means he carries his speed all the way to a, let's say, 0.1 difference. Onto the dirt we go and into the reactor boost turnover. And then we come into that all-important... Ooh, Gwen? No, it does look like Gwen... a different line than Carl Jr., but both of them with the same amount of exit speed. And now the all-important part of the map. Oh. Gwen makes a mistake! He went for so much risk.
But both got the lower gear. Carl got the lower gear as well.
Oh, but that means Gwen actually has the possibility to catch up once again. The gap is not that big. It is not between... It is definitely catch-upable, as I say, but no, not anymore.
We're gonna have a final. They're finals.
the respawn as well completely destroying him because he has to respawn all the way back. 10 seconds. Yeah, this is just a Carl Jr. round. But I agree, Spam. This... we'll have one round to decide it all. Can only dream. Such a round. You're awfully quiet, I gotta be honest.
Yeah,
oh,
I'm just flabbergasted.
No, sorry, it just because you cut out a little bit earlier. I was just a little bit weird, but you're okay.
We're actually gonna have the full final, their finals. 5 maps and a 1v1 on the final map, which is gonna decide everything. Now, if that is not good, I don't know what is. But man, pressure is at an all-time high right now.
Oh, I cannot even imagine.
I
cannot even imagine what is going through their heads right now. Especially Gwen, 16 years old, and now... Is he still 16? Or is he...
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean... And on this level... It's crazy.
Can Carl save it? That is the question. He can. So Carl doing a good job of securing this point. And putting himself at championship point as well. And this is it. This is gonna be it, Sinas. You have to end it here. It's all up to you.
Well, here we go. It is 2-2. It is finalist. It is everything the last. Paradise, the last round of the TMGL Fall 2020 season. Carl Jr. and Gwen are on the map. And they have to do it now. Carl Jr. is already taking the lead here on Gwen. Gwen with a different approach, not really a good one. And now he is already playing catch-up mode. And it is Carl Jr. with the advantage right now. Ooh, Gwen is risking it. He wants to get back into the first place and now has a higher speed. But because he lands further... Okay, he lands further. He slows down a little bit afterwards. But now it is Gwen going for the attack. He has so much speed out of this dirt. What a risk. He went so low over the dirt and that is paying off for him. Imagine trying this in the last round of the TMGL season. Balls of steel on this guy. Here we go. Over the dirt into the reactor boost section. Who will have the most amount of exit speed? It will be Gwen once again. It looks like he does so indeed. And now, who gets the upper gear? Oh! It's over! No! Gwen gets the wall to the face.
That's game.
That's
game. Must be game. Carl, with his experience, there's no way he's gonna give this away.
We've not seen Carl Jr. give away any of these kind of rounds yet throughout the whole night. And I don't think he's gonna do it now. It is not that big of a gap though. It is 1 second, so it's not a free win. Carl needs to keep his pace. But that's also the only thing he needs to do. So all eyes on Carl Jr. right now. We are zoomed in on the Canadian. Is he gonna take this season's TMGL title?
It is looking really good for him though.
Yeah. It is still 1 second. Gwen is catching up a tiny bit, but the pace is not high enough for him to eventually overtake Carl Jr. unless Gwen is gonna do something insane. He is not giving up though. He's definitely in it still.
He does have a really good turnover line here.
Yeah, that might give him really something. Good. I don't know, it can be quite close. If Carl Jr. doesn't get the upper gear and Gwen gets a good identity, it might happen here, so...
That's true.
But here we go.
Here we go.
Over the engine cut we go. Oh! Ooh, Gwen goes really wide, that might... Oh, I can barely say anything, but it does look like Carl Jr. is about to win unless he makes any kind of mistakes here. Up into the first half-pipe thingy we go. Carl Jr. makes it. Second one. Carl Jr. is on his way to winning the TMGL season. GG. He only needs to do it, and he does it. Carl Jr. wins. GG to the Canadian.
Initial mistake by Gwen. And that put him in such a bad position. But what a final we've seen here. 5 maps. And Carl Jr. shows that he is still the massive boss. Wow, great screen. Carl Jr. is your Fall 2020 champion. That is fantastic. Wow, what a match.